All right, so what everyone wants to talk about these days is sexual harassment, right? And how we stop that. And people are stopping it, and consequences are happening. We are at this moment where we are saying no more, and that's critically important. It's the first step. But for me, it just means no more do no harm. But this is America. How can that be enough, do no harm? The question is, how do we go from here to help? And so as you stop things like sexual harassment and you don't put up with that anymore, and you don't allow sexism in your workplace, I want you to also think about the kinds of things that you say or do that make the environment difficult for women, that are not that overt or not that obvious. What do I mean by that? When you describe a woman, do you say she's bossy? And the same thing a man would do, you would say he was a leader? When you describe a woman on your team as needy or whiny, would you describe that same behavior as tenacious in a man? If you describe a woman as aggressive, would you call a man competitive in that environment? That's called a microaggression, these small things that eat away at women. Where do you network? I'm not talking about socializing. Where do you network? Are you networking in places where women feel uncomfortable going, talking about topics that women feel uncomfortable talking about, and then talking about your business when women are not there? And lastly, what kind of practices do you have in your workplace? And do they make it more difficult for women to succeed? Let me give you an example. If you have meetings that generally start just out of the course of business at 7 a.m. or start at 5 p.m., that makes it more difficult for women to participate. In this country, women still have more of the burden of childcare and parent care. I was recently working with a leader, and he decided there would be no meetings allowed to start in his company after 4 p.m. unless it was an emergency. The men want to go home too. So it's those little practices that we're not aware of that are disconnecting women. When women leave a company, we often find an excuse like she wanted to spend more time with her family. But really, it's these little things that are getting to her. And of course, the big things.